I'm the business bishop, on a mission so divine. Coaching up the kingdom, watch your glory start to shine. Step into your purpose, let ambition be your guide. Grow your greatness high with faith right by your side. In the marketplace, calling, hear the angels sing. You cannot lose when faith meets the grind. Stand up, take action, leave the fear behind. With a vision so strong, there's no way you'll fail. The kingdom is your canvas, let your spirit sail. Bishop Wayne's in your corner, together we'll break through. Victory's a choice and today you're gonna choose. Living out your dreams, ain't no time for second best. Fulfill your destiny, put your limits to the test. Break those chains, rise up, find your flow. You cannot lose when faith meets the grind. Stand up, take action, leave the fear behind. With a vision so strong, there's no way you fail. The kingdom is your canvas, let your spirit sail. When the marketplace call it, in the marketplace call it. In your corner, together we'll break through. Victory's a choice, and today you're gonna choose. Living out your dreams, ain't no time for second best. Fulfill your destiny, put your limits to the test. Break those chains, rise up, find your flow. Find your flow. You cannot lose when faith meets the grind. Stand up, take action, leave the fear behind. With a vision so strong, there's no way you fail. The kingdom is your canvas, let your spirit sail. Rise up, business bishop, let your victory roar. Coaching for the kingdom, you're destined for more. Rise up, business bishop, let your victory roar. Coaching for the kingdom, you're destined for more.
Hey friends, blessings and greetings and salutations in Jesus' magnificent name. This is Bishop Wayne Malcolm, the business bishop. Always excited and delighted to be a part of your life and legacy through this ministry. Yay! I am celebrating and saluting each and every one of you that's joining us live. And for those of you that are catching the replays, I salute and celebrate you. Just loving this growing kingdom family. And I want to thank each and every one of you that have subscribed to the channel, those of you that like the posts, and those of you that comment in the comment section. It means the world to me personally. It speaks to me, ministers to me, encourages me, and somewhat empowers me to keep on keeping on, tells me that I'm in the right place at the right time, speaking to the right people about the right things. And so thank you so much for that. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, please do. If you want to encourage us, please leave a comment, share the post, like the post, and if you're joining me live, you know what to do with the chat box. Light up that chat box, because I'm going to light it up with my sound effects as I do. All right, so we are in an epic series, a really important series, given that we are just weeks away from a brand new year. And I think there are two types of people that are crossing over into 2025. There are those who are going into the new year with a list of resolutions, a set of goals, a wing, and a prayer. They are hoping for the best. And then there are those of us, kingdom operatives and ambassadors and agents and children of the kingdom of God, those who have embraced the gospel of the kingdom. And we know that God's up to something in this world, that our life has meaning and purpose, that we are not present on planet Earth at this junction in human history accidentally, incidentally, coincidentally. We are here as a purposeful, meaningful, intentional, and strategic part of God's master plan. We have come to the kingdom for such a time as this. And those of you who share that conviction with me, then I am challenging you in this series to cross over into 2025, not with a wing and a prayer, but with a massive action plan. A massive action plan. Of course, the acronym is MAP. And so in this series, we've been looking at success mapping, looking at the difference between goal setting and mapping. Of course, mapping involves goal setting, but mapping focuses on how, while goals focus on what. And so when you set a goal, you make a decision to pursue a worthwhile outcome. But when you create a map, you've now created a direction and a route that shows you how you can achieve that goal. So I'm encouraging success mapping. I use success mapping. I encourage my clients and students to utilize success maps. And we can utilize success maps in different areas of our lives when it comes to our overall life plan. Where we organize our hopes and dreams into an overarching life project. Okay, I encourage us to develop a life map. And then there are career maps, and there are financial or money maps, and then there are legacy maps. So we're going to try and cover as much mapping as we can in this particular series, but I want you to decide that you're crossing over into 2025 with a massive action plan. Woo! Yep, just write it in the chat box. Say, I'm crossing over with a massive action plan. See, because with a massive action plan, you can create momentum, you can sustain momentum, you have direction. It delivers a sense of clarity, a sense of conviction and courage, and you become clear about your priorities, about your direction, about the next steps, about what to do now. That level of clarity can be achieved if you'll devote some time to developing a life map. And so we started on the life map in the last session. And in the last session, all I did was give, I guess, context for the concept. We were simply looking at the fact that we live life on levels, okay, but we experience it in stages. And with each new stage of life, our priorities tend to shift, the rules tend to change, and we get to designate, okay, or to determine what that stage of our life is going to be about. Now, I personally use decades as stages, just like I use birthdays. You know, every new birthday, I'm entering into a new stage. But with every decade, I noted that the rules change. I noted that I have a decade's worth of experience, knowledge, and skills that I can utilize to make the next decade better than the last. And so I tend to think about these stages and I tend to designate each decade of my life and say, look, this decade is going to be about this particular thing. And someone said, well, Bishop, you know, it's all about what you want. It's about what you desire. It's about what you're dreaming. It's about what your hopes. What about the will of God? So we spent quite a bit of time in the last session looking at the will of God, in which we made it very clear that from the very earliest passages of the scriptures, the will of God for us is more like a garden than it is a tightrope. And a lot of people inherited a version of religion that made the will of God so very, very tight, like a tightrope, very restrictive, almost like a straitjacket. But in the beginning, God said, Adam, of all the trees of this garden, you may freely eat. There's only one that's forbidden. Okay, so of all these trees you may freely eat, which means that every day, Adam, you've got choices, you've got options, you are free to choose, and everything that you choose will be the will of God, bar one thing. And so you see the difference between a relationship with God and a religion, okay? When you have a relationship, there's a level of freedom. There's the power to choose. There are many options that would all constitute the will of God. So you do have freedom to set goals, to dream, to raise your aspirations, to have hopes, to aim for things that would all be the will of God. Because actually when it comes to the will of God, there's a very few things that are forbidden to you, but there's so much more that's available to you. And whenever we get it twisted and all we can see is all the things that are forbidden to us and we can't see what's available to us, well, that sounds like a religion. It sounds like the kind of religion that the serpent enticed Eve into when he got her focusing on the one thing she couldn't have at the expense of all of the many things that she could have. So I want you to allow yourself to dream. I want you to allow yourself to dream big. I want you to allow yourself to imagine an amazing future, to create for yourself a compelling future, a future that's worth living for, a future that's worth fighting for, and even dying for. Because if you can create a compelling future and begin to imagine life on the highest levels, wow, then that's the beginning. That's the beginning of you beginning to map out your future, because all you really need to do is to turn that big wish list into a set of smart goals, and then organize those goals into an actual plan. Yes, I am challenging you to go into 2025 with intention and with strategy. With intention and strategy, not with a wing and a prayer all day, but with intention and strategy and a massive action plan. So I want to take off where we left off in the last session, because we only got part way through the life mapping, because I was giving context for the concept and I was helping us to consider the fact that we live on levels, the fact that we experience life in stages, the fact that a life plan seeks to organize and integrate all of your dreams, hopes, and goals into one overarching plan. And that it's important that we think about our lives holistically, because otherwise we'll begin to suffer from goal conflict. And goal conflict occurs when what you want in one area of your life, you avoid, you hesitate, you procrastinate, because you're afraid that what you want in that area of your life is going to cost you in another area of your life. And so you haven't developed a plan that factors in all the things that matter to you, and your vision is not yet built on your values, to where the things that you value do not need to be compromised or neglected in pursuit of that vision. And it just takes some sitting down, praying through, mapping out your future, and looking at your life, looking at the rest of your life, and even looking at your legacy for some 200 years after you're singing with the angels, right? You can begin to map out your life and legacy. And of course, when planning the future, the Bible says that we should say, if God wills. Okay? When we're thinking about tomorrow, we're thinking about the future, we should allow for the will of God. What this means is that God has full permission to interrupt my plans. He has full permission to change my plans. He has full permission to be the Lord of my plans. But his will must never become an excuse for you not having a life plan. Because Jesus said, look, if you're going to start to build something, and you don't first sit down and count the cost to see if you have enough to finish it, then the project's going to be aborted and abandoned. It's going to be half done, undone. And instead of it becoming a memorial or a trophy to your achievements, it becomes evidence of your failure, and it generates ridicule. So you have to plan things out. You have to start everything with the end in view. You have to become this person that says, okay, here's my life. Here's the years I can reasonably expect from a healthy life. What do I want to do with those years? What are the outcomes I really desire? What's the ultimate destination? What's my mission? What's my vision? What are my values? What is my purpose, my calling, my destiny? And how can I organize all of these hopes, all of these dreams, all of these goals into an overarching life plan so that my focus is not being torn apart, but instead I'm able to focus on this plan, this massive action plan. So we kind of did all of that in the first session. And what I want to do now is take you through some of the life coaching technologies that I used with my life coaching clients. So when I started coaching, I started off life coaching, and I discovered a number of tools, techniques that we call technologies that just allowed people to think more clearly about what it is they truly wanted, about what the options were available to them, about why they really wanted those things, and about how they might go about achieving those things. And so I utilized a number of those tools as a life coach. And my sense is right now, even though I'm fundamentally business and performance coaching and executive coaching, my sense right now is that I want to commit this month to doing some life coaching with our Kingdom family. And I'm life coaching with you so that you can go into 2025 not with a list of resolutions or a traditional set of goals, but with a massive action plan. So the starting point, which is where we finished in the last session, is to actually dream. Dare to dream and create a massive wish list of audacious dreams, your ultimate wish list, okay? And to begin to think and dream without limits, okay? Often when you say to people, okay, what is it you want? What do you really want in life? They start thinking about what they can afford. They start thinking about what they have time for. They start thinking about what they can do within their current capacity. But I want you to imagine that money is not an obstacle. I want you to imagine that time is not an obstacle. I want you to imagine that travel is not an obstacle. And I want you to begin to imagine what kind of a life would fulfill you, what kind of a life would express you, what kind of a life would be worth living for, fighting for, even dying for. And this starts with an audacious wish list. Okay. And I've got a few groups, few categories here, like your audacious wishes, like these may be the things you want to see, places you want to go, people that you want to meet, that currently it looks like, gosh, I'll never go there. I'll never see that. I'll never meet those people, but just make a list because it's a wish. It's okay to have your wishes. These are your hopes. These are your wishes. So begin to put things in your audacious wishes, and then look at your professional dreams. Okay, what do you want for your career? What do you want for your business? What kind of income do you want to generate? What kind of house do you want to live in? What kind of assets do you want to own? What kind of legacy do you want to leave? You're now beginning to dream professionally. Okay, dream professionally. And then you can go down into that third quadrant and begin looking at your personal dreams, okay? And what do you want for you, for your health, for your wellness, for your fitness, for your love life, for your family, for your friends and your quality of society, for recreations, for hobbies, for vacations, all of the things that you want for you. Okay, because your professional dreams, okay, are really a means to an end, right? If you succeed professionally, then that creates a platform for some personal things that are personal to you. It could be that there are some missionary endeavors or ministry endeavors that you would love to be able to commit more of your time to, most of your time to. Well, these are your personal dreams, and you want to start making a list of everything that's personal to you. And then you want to think about your ultimate outcomes. You want to think about the last decade of your life. What do you want people to say of you? What do you want them to think of you? What do you want your epitaph to be? What are the outcomes of your life? What's the ultimate impact that you wish you could make on society, on an industry, on your nation, on your generation? These are ultimate outcomes. So these are just some useful categories for you dreaming. Okay? Dreaming out loud, dreaming on paper, audacious dreams, an ultimate wish list. Please go ahead and write that. Feel free to snapshot this screen and begin writing, because and might as well do it while we're talking if need be, or set aside time, recreate this template yourself, and just begin writing, because you're going to find that you are a dream factory. You've got so many dreams and wishes inside of you. When you start breaking it down, you're going to have well over 100 wishes. Okay, audacious wishes, audacious dreams. But what we want to do now with that list, okay, with that big list of wishes, is we want to convert those wishes into goals. We want to convert those wishes into goals. Because there's a difference between a wish and a goal. A wish is what I want, but a goal is what I've decided to be, do, have. I've made a decision. At the point of a goal, you have made a decision. So when you look at that list, you're going to say, okay, this is the places I want to go. I've decided I am going to go there. This is what I want to achieve professionally. I've decided that I'm going to achieve this professionally. Is what I want to become personally. Okay, perhaps in the area of health and fitness. Now you've decided to do that. It's a goal. So you want to convert your wishes into goals. Convert your wishes into goals. Convert your dreams into goals. And whenever you're setting a goal, that goal needs to be smart. It needs to be specific. It needs to be measurable. It needs to be attainable. It needs to be relevant or relating to your values and sense of purpose and mission in life. It needs to be time restricted. It needs to have a date and a deadline. That's the acronym for SMART, right? So your goals need to be smart. But a useful way of looking at this is to say, what, why, how, when? What, why, how, when? So what exactly do I want to achieve? Okay, so for each of your goals, right, that you've taken your wishes and you've converted some of them into goals, all right, you're now going to say, okay, what exactly is it I want to achieve here? And you make a note of that. Why is this goal important to me? And you make a note of that. How can I achieve this goal? And you might have a few ideas about what you might need to do, what you might need to be, do, or have in order to achieve that goal. So you can make a list there. When? How many deadlines are involved? Okay, what are they and why? So some of these goals, it's going to be within the next 5 years. Some of them, it's going to be within the next 10 years. For some, it's going to be within the next 20 years. And guess what? For some, it'll be within the next 200 years. If you have a good legacy map, then a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. He has generational vision and sets generational goals. But when you're setting a goal, okay, you want to make sure that the goal is well formed. It's well formulated. And so I think of these as well-formed outcomes, because a goal is the decision to achieve a particular outcome. And so what is the outcome? What exactly am I trying to achieve? Why is this important to me? How can I achieve this? And when am I going to achieve this? Because the more clarity you give to a goal, is the more pulling power that goal has. Now, I'm going to say that again. The more clarity you give to a goal is the more pulling power it has. What do I mean by pulling power? I mean that goals have magnetic properties. Well-formed goals have magnetic properties. Clear and smart goals have magnetic properties in that they will pull the best out of you. And at the same time, they will pull the best towards you. And so if the goal is vague, if the goal is not very specific, if the goal cannot be measured, in any way, if the goal hasn't really been thought through and clarified or qualified, and we qualify it by why is this goal so important to me? Okay, if we don't do this, then we're demagnetizing our goals and they stop pulling the best out of us and they stop pulling the best towards us. But the more clarity you give to the goal, the more pulling power it has, the more magnetized the goal is, and it starts to pull creativity out of you, innovations out of you, energy out of you. It starts to pull the best resources out of your resourcefulness. Your spiritual intelligence is activated by the power of clear goals. And at the same time, it makes you a magnet and starts to attract into your life opportunities and people and leverage and tools, because you'll begin to see exactly how you'll begin to notice those opportunities in ways that you wouldn't notice them if you didn't have clear goals. So you want to convert your wishes into goals. That is your next step. So step 1, big list of audacious wishes. Step 2, convert the wishes into goals. Now, that may be some of those wishes into goals, maybe all of those wishes into goals. Depends on your level of faith. Sometimes your faith says, look at this big wish list. I don't see any reason why I can't achieve all of them. And then bang, you're going to convert all of them into goals. And then sometimes you're going to say, look at this big wish list. There's some of these things that definitely have to become my goal in life. And once you've decided on your goals, then absolutely go through each one and clarify it. That's going to give it some magnetic power. Now, I shared with you in the first session that it's important to group your goals. The reason you need to group your goals is because your goals are like the pins in a bowling alley. And there's always a kingpin, right? That if you can hit that pin, it's going to have the biggest single impact on all the other pins. It's going to knock the other pins down. It's going to make the other goals more realistic. It's going to make them more achievable. In some cases, it'll make them inevitable if you could just achieve the one. So we're going to look at kingpins, but now I want to kind of help you to group and categorize the goals, because at the moment, the goals are all over the place. So let's begin to put them into some categories, okay? And what I've got here is I've got 2 levels, okay? You could put 4 levels, but I've got 2 levels. Personal goals and professional goals. What? Personal goals and professional goals. What's at least a starting point? Personal goals and professional goals. Now, of your personal goals, there are some of the things that you could do. In other words, it would be nice if I could do this, right? That's a could do. That's a could do goal. This would be nice if I could see the Great Wall of China and walk over it. It would be nice if I could do a parachute jump for charity. It'd be nice if I could take a helicopter ride over the Grand Canyon. It would be nice. It's a could do. Okay? So everything on your wish list that's a could do, you want to put it here. But then and that's personal, you want to put it here. But then there's a should do. These are the things which, if undone, will have negative consequences for you. So certain things that you should do in terms of your goals, because if you don't do them, you're going to have regret. It's going to have a negative impact on your career, on your relationships, on your spiritual life. So it's very important that these things are done. They are important to you. They are things that should be done on a personal level. Okay? So when it comes to health, wellness, and fitness, is that a could do? No, because if you don't achieve a certain level of health, wellness, and fitness, it's going to have a negative impact on all the other things that you want to do with your life. So at least that should be some of those things should be in the should do category. And then beyond the should do, there's a must do. So these are the things which, if undone, will have severe consequences. Okay? Severe consequences. So I'd put health, wellness, and fitness in the must do. Okay? My goals for health, wellness, and fitness are must do goals, right? Because for me, at my age and stage, they'll have severe consequences on my ability to achieve the other goals. And therefore, they are must-dos, right? So there are some must-dos, there's some should-dos, there's some could-dos in your personal life. But in your professional life, there are equally some musts, some shoulds, and some coulds, okay? Some musts, some shoulds, and some coulds. And so the could-dos, the could-bes, the could-haves, what you want to do is realize that these are the things that would be nice, okay? That would be nice if I could. It would be nice, okay? And wonderful if I could. But if I don't, okay, it's okay. I'm okay with that. I'll watch a movie on it. I'll look at pictures of it. What about the shoulds? You want to make sure you're very clear about what's important to you, what would have negative consequences on other aspects of your life versus what would have severe consequences. So when it comes to your professional goals, you want to now begin to categorize your goals. Is that cool or is that cool? Yeah, I think it's cool. And again, it's about taking a day, taking a weekend to just sit down and begin to think about your life, make your wish list, set clarify your goals, and then begin to think about where to categorize them. Are these must goals, should goals, or could goals? Are these personal? Are these professional? Where are they? Okay, so I'm now going to take you into an amazing technology. Okay, this is one of our best technologies, and it's called Aim to Live. It's called Aim to Live. And I'm going to break it down for you right now. And I know this is not the regular Bible teaching, but I've been doing some great Bible teaching for the whole of the last year. And my assignment right now is to prepare you for 2025. And my assignment says, look, my people need to go into 2025 with a massive action plan, not just a list of resolutions and a wing and a prayer. So I'm going to just help you with this life coaching technology to begin to think strategically and intentionally about your life. So the Aim to Live is a technology, right? And it's a technology that's based on a 5-year plan. A what? A 5-year plan. Everyone write in the chat box, 5-year plan. Okay, so it's a 5-year plan, okay, that covers 4 levels of your life in 3 stages. It's a 5-year plan for 4 levels of your life in 3 stages. We'll say it again. It's a 5-year plan for 4 levels of your life in 3 stages. Now, hopefully, you already understand why it's important to consider the different levels of your life. So let's look at the 4 levels. The 4 levels are your spiritual life, your personal life, your financial life, and your social life. Okay? Now, you might want to replace some of those categories based on how you see the levels of your life. Okay? But this is how I think of the levels of my life. I think about my spiritual life, which is my inner life. I think about my personal life, everything that pertains to me, including my health, wellness, fitness, love, family, quality of, all of that. It's all personal. That's my personal life. I think about my financial life, which includes my business, ministry, and anything that I do professionally that generates income is all part of my financial life. And I am so glad that I'm not just obsessed with my financial life. Like some people, particularly in the success movement, are just obsessively focused on their finances without realizing that you have a personal life and a spiritual life. And that if you're going to create a life plan and a life map, you better factor in your personal life and your spiritual life. Because you may find out that you end up very rich and very lonely, very rich and very backslidden, very rich, right, and very unhealthy. You may find out that you end up very rich, very miserable, very depressed, and very anxious because all you focused on was how to get that money, how to make that money. And now you're thinking, and you were thinking, that if I make the money, then I can enjoy a better quality of life. But the reality is you have to start as you mean to finish and pay attention to all the levels of your life so that everything is growing together. Everything is what? Growing together. Is this making sense? So those are the 4 levels that we're going to think about over 5 years. But those 5 years are going to be 3 stages. 3 stages, okay? And they're right here at the top: short range, mid-range, long range. In other words, I need to have short-range goals for my spiritual life, mid-range goals, and long-range goals for my spiritual life. I need to have short-range, mid-range, and long-range goals for my personal life. I need to have short-range, mid-range, and long-range goals for my financial life. I need to have short-range, mid-range, and long-range goals for my social life, okay? That's my quality of society, okay, and how I enjoy life, okay? So that's the technology, right? And if I left you with this and said, okay, go ahead and fill it out, right? And again, the squares are too small for you to put too much in, so you just put little codes in. Sometimes you put your codes that create associations for you, or that trigger an association for you. Sometimes you can put little pictures in, right? That actually trigger an association for you. But if I left you with this, what you would probably do is start with the first column of short range goals. You say, okay, well, what I want to complete in the short range, which is like 6 months to a year, any goals that 6 months to a year are short range, right? You say, okay, well, this is what I want to do spiritually. This is where I want to be spiritually. This is where I want to be personally, financially, and socially. And you would start with your short range. Then you'd go over to your mid range, and you'd go over to your long range. But listen to me very carefully. That is the wrong way to use this technology, and it will not produce the result. What produces the result is if you use the technology in this particular way. You must start at the end. You must start everything with the end in view. You do not start with the first column. You start with the last column, which is your long-range goals. That's your 3 to 5 year goals. Now, it's only long range because the whole plan is a 5-year plan. What happens after 5 years? You run another 5-year plan. What happens after that? You run another 5-year plan. Okay? You basically just move in these 5-year increments because 5 years is long enough to get anything done. But it's short enough to make sure that you're not complacent. So it's a 5-year plan. It's in 3 stages: short range, mid range, long range. But when you're filling this out, you start with the long range. Start with the what? Start with the long range. And the long range question is right here at the top. The long range question is, where do I want to be in 5 years' time? Where do I want to be in 5 years' time? One more time. Where do I want to be in 5 years' time? Someone write it in the chat box. Where do I want to be in 5 years' time? And of course, it's on 4 levels. So where do I want to be spiritually, personally, financially, and socially? Where do I want to be in 5 years' time? And this is absolutely beautiful, okay? Because I can tell you what's absolutely horrible is if in 5 years' time You have made absolutely no progress spiritually, personally, financially, or socially. You're in exactly the same place you were, struggling with exactly the same things, trying to manage the same sort of a budget, that is hellish and demonic in every conceivable way. It's a nightmare. I can think of nothing more horrendous than 5 years from now to be in the exact same place, spiritually, personally, financially, and socially. So we want to break that cycle and become intentional and say, where do I want to be? And I want you to notice my use of that word be. Why? Because the success formula is be, do, have. So start with where you want to be. Okay? So where do I want to be spiritually? Where do I want to be personally? Where do I want to be financially? Where do I want to be socially? And you can describe that because that's your long-range goal. The mid-range question is different. It's a different question. The mid-range question is this: what do I need to do consistently for at least 2 to 3 years in order to guarantee my outcome? Ooh. What do I need to do consistently for 2 to 3 years, at least 2 to 3 years, in order to guarantee my outcome? So the mid-range is about what? Doing. The long range is the being. The mid-range is the doing. Because if I'm going to be at this place spiritually, then there's things I need to be doing for years in terms of habit, routine, practice, rehearsal, things I need to be doing in order to be to get where I'm going. So, what do I need to be doing consistently, spiritually, right? So let's suppose I want to be in a place in 3 to 5 years where I am, spiritually grounded, biblically literate and advanced, okay? And I want to have a very, very powerful prayer life, okay? Suppose that's what I put down here in my long range. Well, what do I need to be doing consistently for several years in order to achieve that? Well, then a list of things will come about what I need to be doing. I perhaps need to do a course in theology. I perhaps need to be studying the Bible more consistently. I perhaps need to be praying more. Perhaps need to be part of a prayer group. Perhaps I need to be a bit more committed in my local church. Perhaps there's some books that I need to be reading. But these are things I need to be doing if I'm going to realize this particular outcome. The same is true personally. If in the end I want to be fit and I want to weigh a certain amount of stones or pounds, and I want to have the ability to do X amount of press-ups, sit-ups, squats, and I want to be able to run, I want to be lean and I want to be strong. In 3 to 5 years' time, that's where I want to be. Then what do I need to be doing in the mid-range in order to achieve that? And of course, I need to be paying attention to nutrition and diet. I need to be paying attention to exercise. I need to be paying attention to rest. I need to be paying attention. I need to be in a routine. I might need a trainer. There's lots of things that I'll be doing in order to realize that outcome. And the same is true financially. What do you need to be doing? Socially, what do I need to be doing? Okay. Then when you fill out your mid-range column, you now want to go to your short-range column. You now get to your short-range column because now what you need to be doing in the mid-range for where you want to be in the long range, it's now going to be pretty clear what the short range should be about. So the short-range question is, what can I do over the next 6 months to guarantee the start of phase 2? Okay, so I'm actually going to say it this way. What do I need to have? Okay. What do I need to have in order to start phase 2 successfully? And the first thing you need to have is knowledge, okay? So sometimes I put it as, what do I need to know in order to guarantee a successful start of phase 2? So, let there be light is the first order of creation. So literally you want to use 6 months learning how to do these things. 6 months to a year, you're learning. You are learning how to do this spiritual journey. You're learning how to do this physical journey. You're learning how to do this financial journey. You're learning how to do your social journey. You're learning. Okay? So your goals in the short range have a lot to do with learning and equipping, because there's things I'm going to need to have in order to embark on stage 2. And I'm going to need to, stage 2 is going to need to be a rhythm and a lifestyle for me if stage 3, which is my long range goals, are going to be realized. So I'll give a classic example, right? So suppose someone says, look, on the social level, I want to become a pianist and I want to play the piano at concert level. Okay, I want to be a pianist, right? Playing at concert level, and I want to have some albums on iTunes of what I've done and what I can do. Okay, so that's the long range goal. So you start there, right? What do you have to be doing in the mid range in order to achieve that goal? So obviously there's the lessons, there's the practice, there's the rehearsals, there's, the places I need to visit, people I need to meet, people I need to know, groups I need to become a part of. All of that is in your mid-range. But in the short range, you're going to need to figure all of that out. You're going to need to get a piano, and you're going to need to figure out and understand how you're going to learn these things and how you're going to successfully enter into phase 2. Now, if you can enter phase 2 in 6 months, fantastic. If you can enter phase 2 in 3 months, fantastic. But if it takes a whole year to enter phase 2, that's okay. It's your short range goal, right, that's going to prepare you for your mid-range goal. And it's your mid-range goal that's going to produce your long-range outcome. Now, look, if you was able to fill this out, right, 4 levels, 3 stages over 5 years, you wouldn't be entering 2025 with a wing and a prayer. You'd be entering 25 with a massive action plan that factors in the levels of your life and stages over the next 5 years, and pretty much guarantees that in 5 years' time, you are an entirely different person, living life on a whole new level and enjoying the benefits of a higher life. And it's pretty much guaranteed if you can create momentum and follow through on your plan. But all of this developing the plan and following and creating momentum, that's all in the short range. You move into the mid-range, you're now in this rhythm that's going to produce your result. Wow and wow. If this is good, you need to be screaming in the chat box. It's brilliant. So, once you fill out the aim to live, the 5-year plan, right? And aim to live really means, look, aim before you fire. Okay, don't fire and then aim. Aim before you fire, right? Create a target, create an overall target, right? And then aim for it. So aim to live, develop a 5-year plan to change your life completely, right? Develop a 5-year plan on 4 levels in 3 stages. That alone, that technology alone will make 2025 a completely different year for you. I wish I had some help. Woo! I wish I had some help in here. Now I'm going to talk about kingpins, right? Kingpins, because on every level of your life, okay? On every level of your life, and on this one, we've got different levels: spiritual, personal, financial, professional, right? So say you can choose how you label the levels, right? But on every level of your life, there's going to be a kingpin, okay? And that kingpin is the one goal that if you could achieve that one goal, it'll make the others realistic. It'll make the others achievable, and it will even make the others inevitable. Okay? If you can achieve the one goal. So what's the one thing that the whole on your spiritual level that the whole stage relies on? What's the one? So stage one, what is the one thing that stage relies on at the spiritual level? On the personal level, what is the one thing that it relies on? Because now you're identifying your kingpins, so that you can focus on your highest value tasks and on the one thing that will have the biggest single bearing and impact on all of the others. So name that goal. What is the kingpin for you spiritually, personally, financially, professionally? Why? Okay, why? Explain why it's important to you. Okay, if you take out time to just write this down, again, you have an advantage because you go into the new year aiming at a target that you know is going to have a big impact on everything else you're trying to do on that level of your life. I shared this with someone one time and they said, you know what? The kingpin for me is to actually read the Bible from cover to cover at a spiritual level. That's what they said. Another person said, actually, the kingpin for me is I'm going to hire a personal trainer on the personal level. I'm going to hire a dietitian and a personal trainer. That was the kingpin. For another person, they said, my kingpin on the financial level is to create a budget and stick to it and put the balance into savings so I can start to build an investment pot. They said that was my kingpin. If I can do that one, all the other things are going to fall into place. Professionally, right? People have said to me, the kingpin for me is I need a business coach, or they have said, I need to I need some professional development and a qualification in this particular area. That's going to be the kingpin for me that makes the other things possible. So the key is you need to identify your kingpin. And once you identify your kingpin, now you can do the wonders of this living by design. And it's what I call the 90-day plan. The 90-day plan. Okay? So the 90-day plan means that in 5 years, there are 20 90-day increments. In 5 years, there are 20 90-day increments. So you're going to advance your 5-year plan in 20 90-day increments. There are 4 90-day increments in each year. And what this means is that you are always in a 90-day plan. When you kick off January, you're going to kick off with a 90-day plan. And it's a 90-day plan that's going to take you 3 months in. And it's a 90-day plan that's going to factor in the levels of your life that matter to you, the levels of your life. And those 90 days, you're going to split them into stages. Okay? So where do you start? Stage 1, 2, no, you start stage 3. That's right. You start with the ultimate. What do I ultimately want to achieve in 90 days? Spiritually, personally, professionally, financially. What do I want to achieve in these 90 days? Now, what's informing this is your overall 5-year plan. But you say, look, I'm in stage 1 of my 90-day of my 5-year plan. And in the next 90 days, these are the kingpins, the things that I want to achieve. Stage 2, you make a list of everything you need to do in order to achieve that. Stage 1, you make a list of everything you need to know in order to make sure you're doing the right thing to achieve that. So now you have a 90-day plan. The 90-day plan involves some learning, it involves some doing, and it involves some having. Okay? And that's what this is what a 90-day plan looks like. Right? So you got an overarching 5-year plan, but every 90 days you pause and you say, okay, for this next quarter, here are my goals. And the goals are typically based on my kingpins, the kingpins that I absolutely need to, that if I can achieve those particular goals, it'll make the others realistic, it'll make the others achievable, it'll make the others inevitable. Wow and wow. Well, look, I know that that was a lot to digest. And those of you that are into this, that understand the value of strategic thinking, of thinking on paper, of writing down your goals and mapping out your plan and factoring in or including your priorities, your values, the different levels of your life, and putting them into stages, and you value that, I know you're going to want to go over this and go over this. You might even know someone, who, who has been struggling with the cycle of defeat. Like every year, they're complaining about the same thing. Like each year, they don't need a new list of resolutions. They can take the old list because it's still relevant to them this year, as it was last year and the year before and the year before. Because nothing changes. Because see, when you start off in January, you have all this energy, right? You have all this enthusiasm. All the gyms are full in January and they start tapering off towards the end of January. All the churches are full in January, the earliest weeks of January, and then they start tapering off by February. All of these things are full. You're going to find people want to join your programs, want to be part of, because they're making these resolutions. But it's not sitting in the context of a life plan. It's not sitting in the context of them really thinking about, where am I going with my life? Okay, what's the purpose of my life? And what kind of progress do I need to make this year? And the following year, and the following year, in the direction of my dreams and of my destiny. So if you go back over this and you actually start to, use these templates, right? Use these templates to ask yourself these questions. I can guarantee you, in fact, I better look at you for a minute, right? If you start to use these templates, right? So I can guarantee you that what will happen is you will begin to develop a sense of clarity, right? Tremendous clarity about what's important, what your priorities are, and what your next steps are. With that clarity is going to come courage and confidence and conviction to take steps, incremental steps in the direction of your destiny. And within each incremental step, the interest is being compounded so that these incremental steps become monumental gains over a period of time. Incremental steps become monumental gains over a period of time. If you decide that the kingpin for you is reading 100 books on your subject, wow, that's a big goal. Okay? So we start putting it into time frames. You start putting it into stages. Okay? And you start identifying it and you start following through on the process. What happens is you come out of a year so much bigger than you went into it. You come out of the year so much taller than you went into it. You come out so much wiser. You come out so much smarter. So I'm going to encourage you, and I'm going to challenge you to make this 2025 a phenomenal year of progress. The year that you took control of your destiny, and the year that you decided that the wing and the prayer, the resolution list, and the goal list was not enough for you. Nothing short of a massive action plan will do. Now, this particular month of November, I'm home and I'm dedicating this month to empowering the Kingdom family, to empowering us on several levels. And for that reason, I am doing a special webinar series every Wednesday. It's the Wednesday webinar series. Every Wednesday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. For 1 hour, I'm going to be teaching on something that I call the 4-year challenge. And the 4-year challenge is, again, a challenge to become intentional and strategic about your business. This session is for God's entrepreneurs. It's for kingdom entrepreneurs. It's for faithful entrepreneurs. It's for entrepreneurs that have a vision based on the highest values. And when you have a vision that's based on kingdom values, then guess what? This is going to help you to become intentional and strategic about the business, because what I'm going to give to you is a massive action plan for business success based on a biblical blueprint so that your vision can be based on the highest possible values. Wow and wow. Also want to say, I'm going to run the Success Streams Masterclass another time before the year is out. And because in my opinion, it is the greatest education and empowerment for kingdom entrepreneurs whose vision is based on kingdom values, who've come to the kingdom for such a time as this. It is the most comprehensive, most empowering, most transformational 3 hours that you could spend with me in a masterclass. And the details are, the link is beneath this post. In the description beneath the post, look it up, secure your seat. Of course, the webinar series is completely free. There's a ticket on the Success Streams Masterclass. There's a lot of bonuses that come with that masterclass. Join the 4-year challenge and secure your seat at the last Success Streams Masterclass of the year. I want you to enter the new year with a massive... I've got potential to be what I dream.
Join Bishop Wayne Malcolm for his special webinar series entitled The 4-Year Challenge, in which the business bishop will explain how you can achieve the 4 freedoms, including financial freedom, time freedom, freedom of mobility, and freedom of expression with a simple 4-year plan. He will expose the illusions of job security and the 40-year plan promoted by the school system, while presenting a biblical blueprint for success through entrepreneurship. The webinar takes place every Wednesday morning in November at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. A link to register is in the description below this video. Register now and embark on the road to freedom.
Conceive, achieve, and live by the dream. Walk the talk and talk the walk and mean what you say. Throw the old life up. Yeah, I've got potential to be what I dream. I can see.
Unconsciously or not realizing its spiritual roots. Join the business bishop for a masterclass in God's success system and discover how to turn your opportunities into outcomes, your ideas into incomes, and your passion into profits. The Success Streams Masterclass includes step-by-step training on the system and comes with additional bonus courses by the business bishop. Perhaps you've tried everything else. Now try God's way and watch the same power that took Israel from slavery to mastery take you from the pain of poverty to the pinnacles of prosperity. Are you ready? Click the link in the description to find out more or to secure your seat.
Hey there, entrepreneurs! If you enjoy the teachings of Bishop Wayne Malcolm, I've got something amazing for you. Introducing the New Breed Community, an exclusive online platform for kingdom-conscious entrepreneurs, professionals, investors, and creators. This isn't just a community, it's a movement where we discuss and explore kingdom concepts. Here, kingdom-minded people connect, share, learn, and grow together. Inside, you'll find exclusive content from Bishop Wayne Malcolm, including special sessions just for members. And the best part? It's free to join. The New Breed Community sits on the Heartbeat platform, where Bishop Wayne Malcolm is excited to meet you online. Join us for weekly Q&A sessions with Bishop Wayne and get exclusive insights that can transform your life. Love to read? Join our book club to feed your mind and spirit. Got a prayer request? Post it and let's lift each other up. Have a testimony? Share how God's goodness is shining in your life. We're more than just a community, we're a movement. Discover the powerful relationship between your profession and your purpose. Join us now on the Heartbeat platform. Connect with us and let's grow together. Bishop Wayne Malcolm and the New Breed community are waiting for you. So what are you waiting for? Hit that join button and step into a world of connection and growth. A warm welcome awaits you. See you on the inside.
Yo, it's time to rise, wake up from your sleep. Bishop Wayne's got the guidance, the wisdom runs deep. Subscribe and like, let's spread this truth loud. Comment, share it wide, let's stand tall, be proud. Kingdom coaching, we got the plan. Success principles, grab a hold and take a stand. Subscribe, like, comment and share. Bishop Wayne's teaching, we're climbing the stair. In the kingdom of hopes, together we'll thrive. With biblical truths, we'll keep dreams alive. Elevate your mind, shift that identity. In the marketplace of life, claim your clarity. Rule in the midst of the trials and the gloom. With faith as your armor, watch blessings consume. Stand firm, be bold, let your light be known. With each step forward, you'll claim your throne. Subscribe, like, comment and share. Bishop Wayne's teaching, we're climbing the stair. In the kingdom of hopes, together we'll thrive. With biblical truths, we'll keep dreams alive. So rise up